Hi guys, it's Tao from Shine Bright Design, and this is Commentary Journals episode 3. So this commentary piece is from Inktober episode 1. So if you guys are not aware, I am doing Inktober this year, and I'm not doing it all year, I don't think. I'm going to be doing as many episodes as I can for 2017 in October. So I hope you guys enjoy, but this is going to be an unscripted commentary journal on this piece. So if you guys are not aware, commentary journals are unscripted criticism and feedback of my work. Now, I like to think that it's really healthy for someone to be able to criticize their work and talk about the process and their strengths and weaknesses. So this is my first ink piece I've done in a while, and this is complete ink. Normally I would mix ink and pencil. So when you're doing a complete ink piece, there's really no room for error, because those white areas, the areas that you want to keep clean and light for the highlight section, you can't mess up. And if you mess up, it's really hard to bring it backwards, because obviously you're utilizing the color of the white paper. And we're not using pencils, so there's no way that we can put that light color back in. So for me, I started off and did a small piece, which is why this piece is so small. And it's because I'm trying to get in the rhythm of things. Try and get into the rhythm of using markers, because I have been favoring pencils lately and pastels, and I think it's really important for me to, use other mediums and get outside the box, because sometimes when you're a bit comfortable, you tend to stagnate and not grow your skills. So that's why I'm trying to challenge myself and participate in Inktober. So as you guys know, Inktober is basically, for most people use ink supplies to create artwork. But because my channel is solely based on coloring tutorials rather than creating personal art, I thought I would do a coloring tutorial month based on Inktober. So a lot of you guys are aware I do only do pencil, and I know some of you guys who do have Copic markers or do have any other marker would love if I did a ink tutorial. And I think this month really satisfies those viewers who want texture tutorials. So I'm using Copic sketch markers, which I think are one of the best markers to get started with because of the jewel tips. So you have a chiseled end and then you have a brush tip end. And I think these tips are really good to work with, as well as the Copic chows. I think the normal Copic markers, the one that have a square edge, I think those are a bit tougher to work with because there's no flexibility with the nib. So there's a pointed nib and there's also a chiseled nib. And I think that those textures are a bit more harder to work with because they're not as flexible as the Copic chows and the Copic sketches. So as you guys know, when you're working with markers, the more you saturate an area of paper, it becomes more saturated with that pigment. So there have been parts of this piece, you can see clearly in the face that the more I lay over a certain area in one color, the more saturated that area becomes with that color. And you can definitely see that. You can definitely see that in the shadow between the eyes, and you can see that in the tail of the fish where it's orange faded to yellow. And that's how you can create that gradient look. You basically saturate the area that you want darker, and then you just flick it out. And that's why I love the Copic sketches, because of that brush tip. Because you have that ability to flick out and kind of fade things out with that tip. Whereas if it's pointed or if it's chiseled, it's a lot harder, and you can see those ends very easily. So a lot of the time when I'm doing blending with multiple colors of texture, I work back and forth between colors. So say I have 3 colors, my pattern would be color 1, color 2, back to color 1, back to color 2, and then color 3, back to color 2. So it's a lot of back and forth work with colors, and the reason that is the case is because I'm trying to blend seamlessly. Now, to avoid that, you could try using a Copic marker that is a blender, which is just clear solvent, and what it does is it softens the 2 conjoining lines between 2 colors. Or you can just work with things like a Copic sketch marker, which allows you to flick the marker up so it doesn't cut off as sudden. So I hope you guys are enjoying these impromptu commentaries on my work. It's kind of really great because you get to see a raw reaction to what I'm seeing on screen and what is going through my mind. And I think that's the best way. Rather than having something scripted, you could have something not genuine. So I want to give you a genuine response of what I feel towards my own work. And I think it's really healthy that we do this as an artist for myself, because sometimes when we do art and we're really comfortable in a certain medium, we become too comfortable and we don't really grow. We become very stagnant, and I think it's really important that we just, get out of the box and just learn to adapt, learn to challenge ourselves. What I have struggled to find in markers, which is why I don't really use them for backgrounds, is that when you're applying texture to big areas of the background, it's really hard to make that look seamless. As you can see in the background now, it does seem patchy in where it lines up, where it connects. And I think that's just the marker. As I said before, areas of paper that are more saturated with ink are darker because it's more saturated with that pigment. So that's why you can see those joining areas. So I have struggled to find a marker that is seamless and blendable for big areas. If you guys have been working with marker, you know it's really hard to do background that looks blended and seamless, and it takes a bit of finessing. And what it is you just have to even out the saturations in the background. As I said before, the more ink you put in a certain area, the more saturated it is, and you can't evenly saturate the paper because, of course, certain areas will overlap, and because they overlap, those areas are darker than the other. But all in all, I actually don't mind the background. I think I did good for how it turned out. I do know I could improve, but it's just the first episode, and I'm just trying to get into the rhythm of things. Of course, when you guys do Inktober as well, if you guys are doing Inktober, it takes some time getting into the rhythm of markers. And if you guys aren't doing Inktober, I recommend you guys to use this month as a month to use a different medium. If you have only been following my channel for pencils, I think it would be a really great way to grow and learn to adapt with different mediums. And later on, I'm definitely going to be using markers and pencils together. So I see the benefits of markers. Don't get me wrong, markers are really great for people who have arthritis or wrist injuries because you don't have to put that much pressure into putting down a layer of color. So that's why I like markers. It makes things go quicker, and it's not as painful in the long run compared to pencils. I love Posca Pens. I don't know if I haven't said that before, but I love Posca Pens. I hope they make more and more colors because I love using Posca Pens to highlight areas. And it's not just that, it's because of the formula. It's so saturated and pigmented. It's opaque. It sits on top of most mediums, whether it's marker, pastel, pencil. It just adheres and it just pops, and I love it. I love how bright it is. I love how opaque the product is. So I always use Posca Pens to do loose hair strokes, to kind of give the hair movement, to kind of give the figure movement. So that's why I like using Posca Pens, and I love using it for highlights as well. What I like about Camila's coloring book is that her style in this coloring book is very sketch. So it's very loose. It's not structured. It's not, this is the design you have to stick to. It has a style where you can mimic it, or you can manipulate it, or change it, or remove certain aspects you don't like. And that's what's really great about the style of this coloring book. It's sketched. It's almost like as if she's scanned in her sketch pencil designs and just done that as a coloring book, which is probably the case. Who knows? But I think it's a really great way for doing a coloring book, because I feel as us colorers, we take an artist's work to another dimension. It's like we are adding onto that layer of art on top of the illustrator who did those original designs. Us doing the colorings, or us using those colorings as our base, really allows us to add to that level of art, and it takes it to another level. It's like sharing your skills, sharing your style with other people, and people can appreciate your style as well as your artworks and be part of that whole art journey, art world. I think coloring and adult coloring is amazing in that sense, because it just adds that next level to appreciating artists. So here I'm using a Signo Uniball Silver Gel Pen just to add highlights, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. I think this is a great piece for my first episode of Inktober. And if you have any requests, comment below or tag me on Instagram. And guys, I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you guys enjoy. Bye.